Hello, how are you? I hope you are fine. Today we will answer questions about elements around us on Booklet. Write the scientific term, the simplest form of matter. What's the simplest form of matter? The simplest form of matter that can't be decomposed into two substances or more is element. Number two, elements which have high melting point. We have two groups of elements, metals and non-metals. Metals have high melting point, but non-metals have low melting point. So, elements which have high melting point are metals. Elements number three, elements which have luster, malleable, and ductile. Metals have luster, malleable, and ductile, but non-metal haven't luster and or malleable or ductile. So elements which have luster, malleable, and ductile are metals. Number four, a liquid metal at the room temperature. Metal exists in two states, solids and liquids. The only liquid metal that exists at the room temperature is mercury. Number five, elements which are bad conductors of heat and electricity. We have two types of elements, metal and non-metal. Metal are bad con- metal are good conductor of heat and electricity, but non-metal are bad conductor of heat and electricity, except carbon. So elements which are bad conductor of heat and electricity are non-metals. Number six, a liquid non-metal. Non-metal exists in liquids, solids, and gases, but the only liquid metal at the room temperature is bromine. Number seven, elements which haven't luster. Elements which haven't luster are non-metals, but metals have luster. Give a reason for. Number one, iron is a metal. Why iron is a metal? Because iron is shiny, it can be bent and reshaped, it has a high melting point, and it's a good conductor of heat and electricity. So we will write the properties of metals. Number two, iron is used in making bridges. Why iron is used in making bridges? Because it can be bent and reshaped as it's a metal. Metal can be bent. Metals are malleable and ductile. So we use metal in many different films. So iron is used in making bridges, so because it can be bent and reshaped as it's a metal. Number three, handle of cooking pots are made of wood or plastic. Why? Wood or plastic are bad conductors of heat, while metals such as aluminum or copper are good conductor of heat. So handle of cooking pots are made of wood or plastic to keep us safe. So handles of cooking pots are made of wood or plastic because plastic and wood are bad conductors of heat. Carbon graphite is used in making positive pole of dry cells. Is carbon metal or non-metal? Non-metal. All non-metal are bad conductors of electricity except carbon. So Carbon is a good conductor of electricity, so we use carbon in making positive poles of dry cells. So we use carbon in making positive poles of dry cells because graphite or carbon is a good conductor of electricity. Copper is used in making electric wires. Is copper metal or non-metal? Copper is a metal, and we know that metals are good conductor of electricity and can be bent and reshaped. So we use copper in making electric wires because copper is a good conductor of electricity and can be bent or reshaped as it's a metal. Number 6. Sulfur isn't malleable or ductile. Is sulfur metal or non-metal? Sulfur is a non-metal, and we know that all non-metal can't be reshaped or bent. All non-metal aren't malleable or ductile. So sulfur isn't malleable or ductile because sulfur can't be bent or reshaped as a non-metal. It's non-metal as non-metals can be bent or reshaped. What happens if you fix a piece of wax at the end of iron bar and expose the other end to a flame? Is iron a metal or non-metal? Iron is a metal, and we knew that all metals are good conductors of heat. So when we fix a piece of wax at the end of iron bar and expose the other end to a flame, the piece of wax melts as iron is a metal and a good conductor of heat. You Number 2. You try to bend and hammering aluminum wire and a piece of wax. Is aluminum is a metal or non-metal? Aluminum is a metal, and we knew that all metal can be bent and reshaped. And a piece of coal. Is coal is a metal or non-metal? Coal is a non-metal, and we knew that all non-metal are can't be hammered or bent. All non-metal can't be bent or reshaped. So when we try to bend an aluminum and hammering aluminum wire and a piece of coal, aluminum wire will be hammered, reshaped, and bent as it's a metal, while coal will be broken into small pieces as it's a non-metal, and all non-metal can't be bent or reshaped. Number 3. You connect a graphite bar with the circuit having an electric lamp. We knew that graphite is a non-metal, but it's the only non-metal that conducts electricity. So when you connect the graphite with a circuit having an electric lamp, the lamp lights up as graphite is a good conductor of electricity, except it's a non-metal. Number 4. You put an iron nail and some sulfur in a crucible on the flame. Crucible is a kind of plates. We knew that iron is a metal, and we knew that all metals have high melting point, and sulfur is a non-metal, and we knew that all non-metal have low melting point. So when you put an iron nail and some sulfur in crucible on the flame, the iron nail doesn't melt, but sulfur melts easily, as iron has high melting point, but sulfur has low melting point as it's a non-metal. Mention one use of carbon. Is carbon metal or non-metal? Carbon is a non-metal, and we knew that carbon is a good conductor of electricity, so we use carbon in making positive poles of dry cells. Number 2, iron. Is iron metal or non-metal? Iron is a metal, so iron can be bent and reshaped, good conductor of electricity and heat, have high melting point, so we use iron in many fields. So we use iron in making car chases, bridges, doors, and lamp posts. Number 3, copper. Copper is a metal, so copper is a good conductor of heat and electricity, can be bent and reshaped, have high melting point, so we use copper in making electric wires and making statues and coins. So copper is used in making electric wires as it's a good conductor of electricity and can be bent and reshaped, and statue and coins because it can be bent and reshaped as a metal. Choose the correct answer. All the following are good conductors of heat and electricity except iron or gold or silver or bromine. Let's see, iron is a metal, so iron is a good conductor of heat and electricity, as gold as silver. And bromine is a non-metal, so bromine is a bad conductor of heat and electricity. So all the following are good conductor of heat and electricity except we will choose bromine because bromine is a non-metal and a bad conductor of heat and electricity. Number 2, all metals are solids except. We knew that all metals are solid except one element is a liquid. Let's see which element. Iron is a solid, aluminum is a solid, sulfur is a solid non-metal, mercury is a liquid metal, so we will choose mercury. Number 3, non-metal exists in space state, solid or liquid or gaseous or all the previous. Non-metal exists in 3 states, solid, liquids, and gas, so we will choose all the previous. Number 4, all non-metals are bad conductor of electricity except all non-metal are bad conductor of electricity. Let's see which one is a good conductor. Sulfur is a bad conductor, bromine is a bad conductor, graphite is a good conductor, gold is a good conductor of electricity. So we ask about non-metals. So graphite is a non-metal, gold is a metal, so we will choose graphite. It's the only non-metal that a good conductor of electricity. Cooking pots are made of when we make cooking pots we use an element that are good conductor of heat. Let's see which one. Wood is a bad conductor of heat. Sulfur is a bad conductor of heat. Plastic is a bad conductor of heat. Aluminum is a metal, so aluminum is a good conductor of heat, so we will choose aluminum. Number 6, gold is used in making doors or jewels or bridges or cars. Gold is a metal that is very shiny and can be bent and reshaped, so we will choose jewels. Number 7, statues and coins are made of sulfur or wood or carbon or copper. When we want to make statues and coins, we use a metal that can be bent and reshaped. Let's see which is the metal. Sulfur, no, sulfur is a non-metal. Wood, no, can't be bent or reshaped. Carbon is a non-metal and can't be bent or reshaped. Copper, copper is a metal, so copper can be bent and reshaped. So we use copper. Lamp posts are made of copper or carbon or iron or gold. Lamp posts are made of copper? No. Carbon? No. Carbon is a non-metal and can be bent and reshaped. Iron or gold? Gold is very expensive, so we use iron. Lamp posts are made of iron, as iron is a metal and can be bent and reshaped. So lamp posts are made of iron, as is a metal that can be bent and reshaped and is a strong metal. Thank you.